Long ago, before the curse and the famine, before the gods turned their faces away, there was a golden season in Iluwura, a time men still sing about in secret. It was the reign of King Koku, the ruler whose name meant peace that multiplies. Under his hand the land prospered like never before. The rivers ran clear, fish danced beneath the waves, and every farm yielded twice its planting. Children were strong, laughter filled the air, and even strangers found safety under Iluwira's sky. At dawn, the people would say, "Our king is blessed, our land is favored." At dusk, they would sing, "Who can stand against Iluwura?" The goddess Atinuke, mother of fertility and rain, looked down upon them with joy. She had blessed them for their faithfulness, for their yearly offerings and songs of thanks. But blessings can make the heart forget. As the years passed and the storehouses overflowed, the people grew proud. They stopped visiting the shrine of Atinuke. They said, "Why go to the goddess when we already have all we asked for?" At first, it began with small excuses. One man too busy with harvest, another too tired to join the festival. Then the festivals themselves grew smaller. The drums of the goddess were silent, and the sacred grove grew wild with weeds. The king, hearing no complaints, smiled. He said to his elders, "Perhaps our worship was just tradition. The gods are quiet because they are pleased. Let us rest from the old ways." Only one voice still cried in the wind, Iya Alaba, the priestess of Atinuke. Every moon she stood by the river and warned, "The hand that feeds you still watches you. Do not grow proud, Iluwura. When a child forgets his mother, hunger finds him again." But the people mocked her. Some called her mad, others threw stones and laughed. They said, "Go and serve your goddess alone. We have our king, our fields, our wealth." And so the temple lamps went out one by one. The sacred chants were forgotten. Even the sound of the river changed, soft, slow, as if sighing. Then came the first sign. One morning, the river that once sang with joy stood still. No current, no fish. The air felt heavy, and birds refused to sing. That night, the moon turned faint red, and a strange mist covered the land. The priestess fell to her knees in the grove and cried, "Mother Atinuke, have mercy. Your children have grown foolish." And in the silence that followed, the goddess spoke through the wind. "For one full season I will warn them. I will shake the trees and stir the clouds. If they return to me, peace shall stay. But if they mock my voice again, I shall take back what I gave." The priestess trembled, but when she told the king, he only laughed. He said, "A goddess will not punish her own children. You worry too much, old woman." But as he spoke, a sudden gust blew through the palace, and the royal torch went out, though there was no wind outside. The people whispered, but none understood. For when blessing becomes pride, the heart stops hearing warning. The year of silence had begun.
The season turned, and the silence of the goddess began. At first, it was the rain. The clouds gathered like before, heavy, dark, promising, but they only rumbled and passed away. The farmers waited. They said, "The sky is only testing us." But the next moon came, and the ground cracked open in thirst. Then the animals changed. Goats refused to feed, cows gave no milk, even the chickens laid shells without life. Hunters went deep into the forest, but the forest was empty, silent as a grave. Still the people of Iluwura said, "It will pass. We have survived worse." They drank from their stored grains, laughed in the evenings, and mocked the priestess who cried at the gate of the temple. Iluwura has forgotten her mother, she wept. Her womb of blessings has closed. The goddess Atunuke has turned her face away. But her cries were drowned by the noise of arrogance. One night, the king dreamed. He saw the river rise, but instead of water, it flowed with ash. He saw his crown melting like wax in fire, and a woman in white standing by the river bank. Her voice echoed like thunder wrapped in sorrow. You have eaten my blessings, but not remembered my name. Now you will drink your pride and taste the dust you mocked. The king woke in sweat, trembling. He called for the elders. The palace gathered in the darkness, torches flickering, faces pale. My dream is nothing, one elder said. The heat plays with the mind. But another whispered, what if the goddess truly speaks? Still the king refused to bow. He said, no spirit rules me. I am the king of Iluwura, blessed by destiny itself. The next day, the palace well ran dry. 3 guards fainted before noon. The royal storehouse of yam turned black overnight, each tuber crawling with worms, though sealed in baskets. The people ran to the market, crying, it is witchcraft, the priestess has cursed us. They dragged Iya Alaba from her shrine, beat her with sticks, and burned her prayer mat. Her blood stained the temple steps. And when she could no longer rise, she whispered one last prophecy. The mother has withdrawn. Her silence will speak louder than her storm. Only repentance can open her hands again. That night, thunder rolled with no rain. Flames lit the mountains, and the riverbed cracked deeper. The wind that once carried songs now carried dust. Children cried for hunger, men fought over water, and the once proud market of Iluwura turned into a field of bones. Even King Koku began to fade. His strength left him. He looked at his crown, now dull and cold, and asked the spirits of his ancestors, where did I go wrong? But the only answer was silence. The same silence that wrapped the land, the silence of the goddess. The drums that once called joy were now drums of mourning. The people began to remember, but it was too late, for the goddess had turned her face away. And so the golden city of Iluwura became a tale of warning, that blessing without gratitude becomes a curse, and the hand that forgets to give thanks will one day beg for mercy.
When the rain returned to Iluwura, the land breathed again. The cracked earth drank deeply, and the river Atinuke flowed with new strength, a ribbon of silver winding through the reborn land. The people came out from their huts, raising their hands to the sky in tears of joy. It was not just rain, it was mercy. For the first time in many seasons, children laughed again. Women sang songs of thanks. Men danced in the mud without shame, for even dirt was now a blessing. King Koku stood at the riverbank, his white garment drenched, his crown in his hand. He bowed low before the water and said, no man owns the rain. No king rules forever.
From this day, Iluwura shall live to remember. And so began the new covenant of Iluwura. The king gathered the elders, the priests, the hunters, and even the children. He said to them, "We will build again, but not with pride." The temple of Atinuke was rebuilt by many hands. No one claimed ownership. The hunters brought wood from the forest. The blacksmiths forged bells for worship, and the women wove white cloth for the altar. When the temple was complete, they gathered for 7 days of thanksgiving. The drums of Iluwura, silent for years, beat again, slow, deep, alive. Flutes sang, voices rose together. Mother of mercy, may our hearts never forget. Teach our children your ways, and let your river never run dry again. On the final day, something strange happened. A soft wind rose from the east. The sky brightened, though it was night, and from the river's surface a gentle light glowed, warm, golden, and calm. The people knelt in awe. From the light came a young woman, barefoot, clothed in white, her eyes bright like morning stars. She spoke with a voice both human and divine. "I am Omotola, child of Iluwura and servant of Atinuke. I have been chosen as the new priestess to remind this land of its covenant." The king bowed and said, "Then let our children learn from your lips, and our hearts stay humble forever." And so began a new season, a time when gratitude became a way of life. Every year, before planting season, the people returned to the river. They did not ask for blessings first. They gave thanks for what they already had. The farmers poured a handful of grain into the river. The hunters laid down their bows. The king himself offered palm oil and said, "May the earth remember our gratitude." Even in plenty, they fasted 1 day each month to remind their souls that blessings are borrowed, not owned. And when strangers came to the land, they would ask, "What is the secret of Iluwura?" And the people would smile and say, "We learned to say thank you before asking again." Years passed. King Koku grew old and died peacefully, buried by the river that once judged and saved him. Omotola, the priestess, watched over Iluwura from many seasons. Under her care, the land never lacked rain, the markets overflowed, and peace rested upon every home. And whenever the children asked, "Mother, why do we still go to the river every year?" she would say, "Because forgetfulness is the first step towards pride, and pride is the first step towards destruction." The story of Iluwura spread beyond the hills and valleys, a warning, a lesson, a hymn, that the gods are not cruel, but patient, and that the most powerful prayer is not give me, but thank you. So ends the tale of Iluwura, the golden city that died in pride and rose again in gratitude. And if ever your blessings make you forget your source, remember Iluwura, the city that learned the language of thanksgiving.